So yeah, I thought for my first ever Twitch stream that I've not done before, I'd run through a workshop that I needed to run through. I've got a couple of clients that are going to need some of the bits from this workshop, so I thought I'd try running through it. I've never done this before, so it'll be interesting to know how I get on. I spent most of the morning fiddling with OBS, getting the various bits that you can see on the screen working at the same time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that works properly. Happy to receive any feedback, positive or negative, and help me improve what I'm doing. But I'm running through this Azure IoT workshop, which has been created by Microsoft and Benjamin Cabè, who's one of the PMs in the IoT team at Microsoft. He actually ran through a very similar version of this workshop at Build and presented it really well. And so I've stolen a few of his ideas, like having this MX chip device down here, sort of so that you can see what it's doing. But yeah, the idea of this workshop is it's described in this set of pages here. So if you go to GitHub, then you can grab this same workshop, but it's sort of describing here what we're going to be doing. But essentially, we'll have an MX chip device connected up to an IoT hub through the DPS, the device provisioning service. And then we'll go out to an event hub, I think, and onwards then to stream analytics and time series insights and a custom website as well, I think. So it'd be interesting to see where this can go. I did try running through with Benjamin when he ran this at Build, but a couple of bits didn't work, and so I got slowed down and then lost my track. So I thought I'd take a bit of time and start running through this for my first Twitch stream and just see where we get to. There's some slides for this as well that go into a little bit of detail about what the individual pieces are. And down here on page 14, we get some sort of a sense of how it will connect together, where we have IoT devices going through an IoT hub with device provisioning, and then stream processing happening here, and we're doing some data storage, and then UI and reporting, and then some visualization. So that gives you an idea about where it's heading. So we've got 4 different sets of steps here, and I'm going to start with this connecting an asset tracking device to Azure IoT. So we need to start here by creating a resource group. So all of this is going to be done in Azure's portal. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and it's asking us to create a new resource group. So if I can spell resource group, there we are. So this is basically, if you've not used this before, it's just a folder to be able to store all of our different resources in. It's handy for knowing where you left off, but also then if you're finished with it, you can kill it off. So I'm going to choose my Azure subscription here. Let's make sure that these masks are on. And I'm going to create a IoT workshop. And then I'm going to house this in North Europe. We're going to need to use North Europe for some of the services. So let's review and create that. We're going to have a resource group. And the next thing that it's going to ask us to do is create an IoT hub. So that's us created a resource group, and then create an IoT hub and a device provisioning service. So let's do that next. So let's add an IoT hub in here. Create. And it's going to be in the IoT workshop. And again, we need to make sure that this is going to be in North Europe. Otherwise, things aren't going to work. We'll also get data egress and ingress charges if we're not careful. So let's call this IoT workshop hub. And of course, the IoT hub name is not available because this has to be globally unique. So I'm going to preface everything with my initials there. And then it's happy, the green tick. And then networking. And so this is a new thing here. You can have private endpoints for IoT hubs. So this networking blade, if you will. This networking page is relatively new, so I'm just going to leave that at public. And size and scale. We can choose free tier here if we like. I'm going to leave it as standard because I've got some credits, so I'm happy to use that. But everything you need to do will also work in the free tier. We only need one unit. I'm going to leave Azure Security Center on as well, just because I can. It doesn't cost you very much. Look, per device per month is fractions of a penny there, so we don't need to worry too much about that. We're not going to have any tags, and so the next step is to review and create. Just make sure we've got everything right. A workshop hub in North Europe with a public endpoint standard tier. So that's going to run to about £18 a month, which is, not a tiny amount, but it's small enough, and certainly if you've got some credits to use, then you can go ahead and do that. So we can create that. And obviously these things take some time. None of these things are big jobs at the moment, so we won't have to wait too long. So while that's creating, let's have a look at what the next step is. So we've created the IoT hub, and here it's actually calling out the fact that it needs to be in certain regions. So North Europe is one of them, or Central US and Japan East. I'm not sure how up to date that information is, but better to be safe than sorry. So yeah, create them in the same resource group. And then once your services are properly provisioned and your DPS service is linked. So here's some more information about what we needed to do. So setting up an IoT hub device provisioning service. So I've created an IoT hub, and I've gone through these screens. You can see it's missing the networking screen because this is slightly older information on the docs. But we chose the same S1 just there. And then they've actually chosen a couple of tags in there as well, but I've not done that. And then creating a new IoT hub device provisioning service is next on the list. So this should be just about finished now. Some days it's fast and some days it's not. That's the benefits of live streaming, is that you get to see what it really looks like. So up here in the top right hand corner, again, if you've not seen much of Azure before, then it's going to tell us what's actually happening with our deployment. So what I can do though is we can add a device provisioning service. Device provisioning services while that's busy. So I won't be able to link it directly to the hub while the hub's still creating. So let's create a new one of those. And I'm going to call that PJG IoT Workshop DPS. Same sponsorship. I'm going to make sure I put it in the same resource group, and again it's in North Europe. So let's create that device provisioning service. Wait for that to finish too. So our hub is created, and I'm actually going to pin that to my dashboard. There we are, so that's my hub there. DPS is still being created. Let's have a look at that, see what that's doing. Waiting around for things to create. And there we are. So that resource has been created as well. So we can go to that resource now. There we go. And at this point we need to link an IoT hub. So what device provisioning service does is allow IoT devices to connect to the service, and then the service automatically provisions them in the IoT hub. So it saves you having to do the step of creating a device and passing keys around. You just have a device provisioning service key that the devices know to connect to, and then that device provisioning service handles all of that provisioning for you. So let's link an IoT hub, and we can click the add button here. And we'll choose this IoT workshop hub we created earlier, and it's going to ask for a access policy. So we can see here it's IoT hub owner is the only one in there, and really we shouldn't be using that. We should create an access policy specifically for our DPS. So let's go and do that. Let's go back to our dashboard. In fact, can we pin this to our dashboard from here? Probably do it from this actually. DPS, let's pin that to the dashboard. Right, go back to our dashboard. So let's go back to the hub. And then we have shared access policies as one of the options on the left here. And there's our IoT hub owner, and you can see that's the only one that has the necessary permissions at the moment that DPS requires. So to be able to manage devices and registry and stuff like that. So if I add a new one and call this just DPS, and we'll be bold and give it all of the permissions, and wait a second, and then that will finish creating. So I think that's actually done anyway. There we are. So there's the bits. There we are. So it's popped up and told me it's finished anyway. Go back to the dashboard and back to our DPS, and then back to our linked IoT hubs, which we still don't have any. So we click add. And then choose our workshop hub, and then our access policy. Now we have a DPS one. So if something went terribly wrong with DPS, we could just, if we needed to, just delete that access policy, revoke that one access policy without losing that overarching IoT hub owner access policy. And you'll probably see in a bit, we'll probably start creating new access policies in there for things like the event hub and stream processing and stuff like that. So we'll most likely come back to that. Let's wait for that to finish linking. There's a fair amount of waiting around for anything in Azure to create, sadly. Obviously, if this was one of my recorded streams or a talk, I'd most likely have this already created and I'd just refer to it, but I wanted to run through the workshop as I would do, just to see how it went, and also see how my first Twitch stream went, if nothing else. So that's linked. If I click the refresh button now, then we'll see we have our link just there to the IoT hub. So let's have a look what next it says we need to do. So create a resource, device provisioning service, we've done that. So resource group we use, then linking our IoT hub was the next item on the list. So we've already done that now. Access policy, select the IoT hub only. So I wouldn't recommend we do that. I always choose a new access policy for everything I do. Just keeps everything a little bit neater, and I know what is going to access what and how. And then we can clean up resources there that it's talking about, but we don't need to do that because we're not finished with it yet. So what's next? In our device provisioning service, we need to create a new enrollment here. So we need to go to manage enrollments and add an enrollment group. So let's do that. So here on the left hand side we have manage enrollments, and you can add an individual enrollment. So if you know that you just want to enroll one single device or something like that, then you can do that individually, but we're going to do a group. So when the enrollment group panel appears, enter the information in the enrollment list entry. Group name is required. As a suggestion, you can name the group asset trackers, which we'll do. Asset trackers, and we'll choose symmetric key as the attestation here. So this is how this enrollment group is going to talk, or rather the devices are going to talk to the enrollment group. We'll have it automatically generate the keys. If we had more than one IoT hub, then we could choose how we wanted to assign each device. And it could be that you wanted to have an IoT hub in a geographic region that was closer to the IoT devices that are going to be connecting to that. So you could do it that way, or you could just evenly weight them so that they're distributed evenly across devices, IoT hubs. And so select the IoT hub, and so we've done that already. We could have done the linking job here, but we don't need to. And then reprovision and migrate data if we're going to be handling on reprovisioning. I don't think we need to worry about that for now. And then enable entry. Let's have a look to see what else it says to do in there. Just click save. On successful creation, you should see a group appearing in enrollment groups. So one of the frustrating things about the Azure UI currently is that sometimes the save's at the bottom and sometimes the save's at the top. And I'm never quite sure where to look a lot of the time. So yeah, this one is at the top. And we should have a group, asset trackers. So select the newly created enrollment group in the enrollment groups tab. And then click the copy icon in primary key in order to copy the symmetric key that's been generated for this enrollment group. We will need it. Obviously, you will want to make sure that your device is storing the group symmetric key in some sort of secure storage. Yeah, obviously, you're doing it with something like a Raspberry Pi, and it's easily accessible, and somebody can grab a hold of that. That would be bad. So, but for this demo, it doesn't really matter. So I can click on my asset trackers. More waiting around. And there we are. So they're the keys that it was referring to earlier. And by the way, an IoT Edge device, if you've not come across that, IoT Edge is a way to be able to move a lot of the cloud functionality down to the device itself. So imagine you've got a Raspberry Pi. You can do a lot of your processing, even store SQL server databases in essentially Docker containers on the device, do all of your processing, offload away from the cloud where it's going to cost you money, the processing onto the device itself, and then just pass streams of data up that have already been processed. So not only does it reduce cost, but it also means that your business decision making happens faster because it's happening at the edge, closer to where the data actually is. Just as an aside. So here's our primary key. I'm going to click copy. So that's gone to our key onto our clipboard. Now we need to connect the MX chip plug and play asset tracker. So there's some instructions here to get one of these MX chip devices that you can see. I'm pointing to it there. These are available loads of places. I think you can get them from Amazon and possibly even from Pimeroni and places like that. But they're easy enough to find. I think RS do them too. So you can go and grab one of those if you want to. But I've already got one there, and what I've done is I've put it into setup mode, which you do by holding the B button and press reset, and it puts it into a mode where it broadcasts its own Wi-Fi. Now, part of the setup that I had to do this morning was that I'm running all of this on a Surface Pro 7, which of course doesn't have a network socket by default, so I've had to plug in a USB network socket through another USB hub, which I'm hoping that we don't lose connection partway through the stream, so that I can then use the Wi-Fi to be able to connect onto the MX chip device. So that's currently broadcasting its Wi-Fi for us to be able to connect to the IP address that you might just be able to see there, 192.168.0.1. And I've already got that open here, so let's just make sure that's live and working. And yeah, so it's going to ask us to configure the Wi-Fi here. So I need to choose my Wi-Fi and enter my Wi-Fi code. There we are. And so we have a device ID, an ID scope, and a group SAS primary key. So if we flick back to the instructions here, so in addition to the Wi-Fi, we're going to need the following information: device ID, a unique name for identifying a device. Name should be alphanumeric and may contain special characters, blah, blah, blah. An ID scope for the DPS service, and you can find this in the Azure portal in the overview section of the DPS. And a group SAS primary key, and that's the symmetric key for the enrollment group that we copied a minute ago. So if I paste in that key in there. Let's give this a IoT workshop device, call it that. And this ID scope, we need to go and grab that. So back in the portal, that's already been saved, so I don't need to worry too much about that. But if we go back to the DPS and go to the overview, then here's our ID scope. So I can copy that and I can paste that in there. So it looks like now we have all of the information we need. So if I configure the device now, obviously it's entirely likely that when it drops off the Wi-Fi that I might also lose my stream, but let's hope not. So if you do lose me, then I'll be back in a second. Don't worry too much. So that's now rebooting. You can see down here on the stream over that way. Yep. That's now rebooting, and it says it's registering. In fact, we have an IP address. Not now, thank you. PnP enabled, runtime, and so that looks like that's actually succeeded. So what's it say now that we need to do? When you've completed these instructions, the MX chip device should be connected to the IoT hub and sending telemetry. So what we can do is, if we go back to the hub, theoretically, if we go back to our dashboard and then back to the IoT hub, and then down on the left hand side we have IoT devices. And clicking on that, if it's all worked, we should have our IoT workshop device. So what that's done is we've got a resource group, of course, first, our folder for storing all of our resources in. We've created an IoT hub, just a standard IoT hub in the North Europe region. And then we've created a device provisioning service, and we've linked it to that IoT hub. And we've created an enrollment group. And that enrollment group is allowing our MX chip device to connect into that enrollment group and automatically create a device on our IoT hub, which is what we can see on the screen there. So yeah, the instructions are now telling us that it should be sending device data. So it'll just be sending whatever's coming off that device. Now, the MX chip device is quite cool. It's got a temperature sensor and a gyroscope and a magnetometer and a little screen and a couple of buttons. But it's also got a whole heap of other properties that it transmits up to IoT Hub through this plug and play interface, which we'll be able to have a look at shortly. Now, the next set of instructions, they're asking us to download the Azure IoT Explorer tool, but I've done that. So I can click on that. Put that on the screen. Make it a bit smaller. So what I can do then is, it's asking us for this IoT Hub connection string. So back in the portal in our IoT Hub, we're going to need a way for the IoT Hub Explorer to be able to connect to this. So again, we create a new shared access policy for that, because I like to just keep everything compartmentalized. But I'm going to give it the same privileges as we did our DPS. So I'm going to call it a Device Explorer. You'll hear my children in the background, by the way, so apologies for the shouting and screaming, but like everybody, we're all working from home. I mean, I work from home anyway, but ordinarily the kids would be at school or nursery at this point, and I'd have the house to myself, or my wife would be here, but she doesn't often shout and scream. So anyway, we're creating a new shared access policy for our Device Explorer. So we can click Create. And now we have Device Explorer. And we have primary key, secondary key, and the connection string, the primary key connection string. And I can copy that and then go back to our Device Explorer here and paste that in and then click Connect. And it's complaining, probably because it's not quite finished yet. So let's just try that again. Oh, it's complaining. What's it complaining about? Let's try that again. Well, it does still say that it's updating it, so I mean, it's entirely possible that I'm just a little bit eager and trying to go too fast. But in fact, let's just wait for that to finish instead of us trying it over and over again. There we are. So that has done that now. So let's double check. Go back to Device Explorer, copy that to the clipboard, and then let's try this again. That's better. So it was just me being too eager. Story of my life. But we can see we have our IoT workshop device, and we can actually do quite a lot in here with the various different devices. So if I click on one of those, then we get some information about the device. So we've got the device ID and the primary key and connection strings there. So if you wanted to, theoretically, you could just connect straight up to that device and grab the data for it here and pass connection strings in. So if this was a Raspberry Pi, you could write all your code in Node and pass your data that way. That's all been done for us with the DPS service. And that information is given to the MX chip device, and that is what it's using then afterwards to connect into IoT Hub. So we have device twins in here as well. We see we've got some information in there. It's populated for us already. Vendor information and what's been like software versions, and that's the language that's written in C. So it's already been populated because the device has chosen to do that. Part of that comes from this plug and play capability model that's passed in. So there's quite a lot of stuff that gets passed in there, device info. If we go into that, then it looks very similar, but we've got just some basic information that's populated for us in there, nothing particularly interesting. But if I go to telemetry, as it said in the instructions, it's actually transmitting information. If I click start, then what we should see in here, let's maximize that so we can see a little bit more information there. So we have some information coming out. It's giving us a latitude and a longitude in there. It's not reading that. There's no GPS on the microchip on the MX chip device. It's just dummying that data so that we can use it. But it is getting this accelerometer information, this X, Y, and Z. That is actually being transmitted live. And in fact, if I pick this up and give it a move, we should see some of that changing. So there, you can see the X and the Y and the Z have changed, and the magnetometer information there. So that is live data coming straight out of that. And I don't know if you can see, but there's little bits in here that are telling you what these bits are. So we have security and magnetometer and pressure and humidity and temperature all sitting there. So I doubt I can warm that up much because my hands are quite cold actually. But yeah, so we can see that's information coming from that MX chip device that's going up to the IoT Hub, and then our Azure IoT Explorer tool here is then able to intercept that message traffic sitting on the IoT Hub directly. So that seems to be working quite well. So let's stop that now and see what the next step is. So this is running through exactly what we were running through before. So this is connected and it's listing the list of devices that we've got. We went into IoT Explorer and there's some more information in here that we can delve into that gives us some information about what the device can actually do. And that's it. So that's that first step done. So we've got a resource group, and we've got an IoT Hub and a device provisioning service, and we've managed to connect our MX chip device up to that and view the telemetry that's been sent up. So we're not doing too badly. That's quite good. So what's the next step on the list? Setting up a data pipeline. So let's go here. So setting up an IoT data pipeline. So what we're going to be doing here is using Azure Time Series Insights to be able to grab the data, and you can use that to look at real-time data, but also store data for historical use as well. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create an Azure Time Series Insights environment, and then explore the data and contextualize it. So we need to create a new Time Series Insights. So let's go back to our portal and do Time Series Insights environments. Yeah, that's it. Now, time series insights, let's do that. Same thing, the environment. So we need to give it a name. Has it suggested one to us? Just a unique name. So let's do the PJG IoT workshop TSI, and then I'm going to choose the same resource group as I had earlier, and then we want North Europe again, just there. And this is where the data egress and ingress charges will appear. If you were to put that in a different region entirely, then going cross-region with that data will incur some sort of charges. I don't think it's much, but so we have 3 different options here, and you can see there's a cost associated with that. So £111 a month, that's quite a lot, and we're not going to be doing anything like 1 million events today, so we don't need that. And obviously you can go up to 10 million if you like, and that's £1,000 a month, so let's not do that either. But there's a pay-as-you-go version here, and we're only then going to be charged for what we actually use, which for the length of this won't be very much at all. And a property name, so let's flick back and just see what it's saying. So subscription, resource group, location. So here, to avoid additional latency, feeding into TSI, choose one that's close. Choose pay as you go. This is the SKU that will work for a preview product. And then enter the name of the property that uniquely identifies your time series insights. The value enter in the property ID box is immutable. You can't change it. For this workshop, the property used to identify a different time series is the identifier of the devices connected to the hub. So IoT hub connection device ID. So let's use that. There we are. So what's it saying to do next? Storage account name. Enter a globally unique name for a new storage account. So we can do that too. So PJG IoT workshop storage. And it's got to be lowercase. So IoT workshop storage. And it likes that. What's it saying for the enable warm store? Yes. It's not said anything about the account replication, I don't think, has it? Did I miss that? No. Is it there? Storage account name. Oh, so it's on LRS on that. So, and we are enabling warm store. Or crying children in the background. Apologies for that. Anyway, yeah, so yes to enable warm store and choose the default option of 7 days. So we've got 7 on there, and there's no other options, and so we'll move on to the event source. So next, event source to establish a connection between your IoT hub and TSI. So you could do that, but you're not going to have it connected to anything, so it's going to be kind of pointless. So we have an event source here. So we're going to create a new event source. And then enter a unique name for the event source, and you'll see a pattern happening here. So PJG TSI event source. In fact, let's see. Can I now make that TSI event source? It's just slightly easier to read if you can use capitals. It seems slightly inconsistent where you can and where you can't use capitals. I'm not sure why. Select a hub. Select existing, and then sponsorship. And then our workshop hub, and then look, we need a new access policy. So we don't have one here, which is quite frustrating. And because now we need to go and create one, and likewise, there's no automatically create one here. So I need to go back now to my dashboard. So let's just get that on another screen. or another tab even. And we need to go back to our IoT hub and back to our shared access policies. Add another one, and we'll call this TSI. I can't remember which ones of these I need now, so I'm just going to give it all of them because I'm really brave. And in actual fact, we get some sort of an idea what we need because it'll only list the ones we can use. So we have device and service listed in there. So device and service have only got device connect and service connect. So I don't know, I'm not quite sure. I'll create that anyway. And this time I'll be a little bit patient and I'll let it finish. Have a drink while it's happening. Update was successful. So that's good. So what we can do now though is if we just swap the subscription, then we can have it automatically repopulate these, and then we should have our TSI. So we're happy with that. Now, Time Series Insights requires its own consumer group. So this is where the messages can appear and where they can get pulled back off the hub. And if you just use one consumer group, then you can't guarantee that the message is still going to be there for you to be able to use. So you have more than one consumer group to be able to do that. So consumer groups should be used exclusively, for this event source, as there can only be one active reader from a given consumer group at a time. And TSI is going to be sitting there reading it. So we can create a new one. And I'm just going to call that TSI consumer group. There we are. And we have a property name as well. So what's it saying in the instructions for the property name? This value is used to identify the timestamp property. Leave this box empty. Okay, well, happy days. When left empty, insights will default to the message on queued timestamp. Yeah, that sounds like that's probably a good idea. And then that looks like that's it. So we have ticks all around. Now sometimes I've done this and I've forgotten something on the first screen and it takes you back. And so it's complaining about something at the minute because it's just taking me back again. So let's have a look in basics and make sure that's all okay. It's all ticked in there. Another look at an event source. That's frustrating, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what it's doing there. Was that empty? I don't know. Consumer group's okay. TSI is all okay. Create an event source, yes. Review and create. Yeah, it's complaining about something. What is it complaining about? I had this happen before. That's ticked. That's ticked. That's okay. That looks okay. That looks okay too. Enabling the warm store. That's okay too. It's still complaining about the event source. Let's just change that up again. Here's the problem. So I've typed that in, but I've not pressed add. I remember that now. So if I press add now, then I'll add that consumer group, and now I've got to select it. So I don't particularly like that. I don't think that's very good UI there, or UX. That should have been more obvious. So now, when I press review and create, then it allows us to do it. So obviously this is just telling us what we've done, so it's just worthwhile just making sure, because I've had to go forwards and backwards. Yeah, we're on the pay-as-you-go. That's probably the most important thing to ensure that's right there, because we don't really want to be paying £100 or £1,000 a month. That would be bad. Policy name's okay, consumer group's okay, using sponsorship as a subscription, so that's all good. So we can click create. And let that finish creating, and while it's doing that, we'll see what we've got to do next. So that's review and create, and then explore data in your TSI environment. So in this section, you will explore the data in your environment via the Azure Time Series Insights Preview Explorer, blah, blah, blah. So when we go and have a look at our TSI, there'll be a link in the top right hand corner, and we can click that and open a new browser instance and load that whole environment up in the browser. So how's that getting on? That's still deploying. Good. The storage has been created. Not sure why there's two of them. And TSI has been created as well. And there we are. So I'm going to pin that to my dashboard as well. And we can then just flick to our dashboard. And that'll appear. Go on TSI. Frustrating. So let's go that way and then this way maybe. There we are. So this is our environment. This is telling us what's going on, and there's some brief information here about what's been ingressed, what data's been ingressed, and property counts and things like that. But here's that link that it was alluding to earlier that takes us to our environment. So we'll click that. And loading animation. And then we have some basic information being sent already. So from around 3:10, which sounds about right to me. And this is looking at the warm store queries. So warm store is the stuff that's readily available, and then cold store is the stuff that you've archived away and you can look at and analyze later. And that's just updated look, so we can move this on a little bit. So what's it going to tell us to do? So wait for the environment to load in the browser. Once it loads, you'll see the default landing page with some key features. Selecting a time range, you can select a different time range by dragging the handles of the availability picker or using the date time selector. So yeah, we can drag the edges of these and look at different time ranges just in there. Or we can use the date picker up here to choose different times and dates. So this is all today from 3:25 till 3:28. So that looks good to me. We can expand the bar to see the volume of data over the time. I'll keep it collapsed for a slimmer look. Expand the bar. I think that's... Is that that? No. Ah. No. Yeah. Maybe it's that. Kind of makes sense, I suppose. What next? Any selection that's within the orange bar boundary will query your time series insights environment warm store. So inside that, warm storage is configurable for up to 31 days of retention. I think we left ours at 7, didn't we? And it's designed for frequent querying of recent data. That's right, there's no charge for these queries, which is good. Hierarchy. On the left hand side, you'll see the time series hierarchy, and time series that are not yet configured to a hierarchy will fall under the default of the unassigned time series. I think my headphones might be running out of juice, quite possibly. But never mind, I don't actually need them anyway. So time series that are not yet configured will fall under the default unassigned time series. So plotting in the middle of the page is the charting pane, where you'll visualize events and perform analysis. Below the charting pane is the well, which offers additional settings like time shift and step interpolation. So I don't see the well, but I can see the hierarchies in here. and unassigned time series instances. So what does it want us to do? Click on the asset tracker. Oh, I see. So we need to click in here first, and then click on our workshop device, we've called it. And then what's it want us to do? Click on the show humidity. Show humidity. Yeah, okay. I'm going to close this one, and that one, and that one, because and that one. I think. Yeah. Oh, we can go back. I think I may have closed one. I didn't want to close there, but it doesn't matter. Indeed, I did. This is what I want. Silly boy. Right. Oh, spoilers, look. So, asset tracking properties, and we've done the show humidity. If you selected time range as narrow, expand to view more data, and click on the additional properties to add them to the chart. Including temperature, pressure, accelerometer, latitude and longitude data. Okay, let's do that then. I think our time is okay, but let's have a little bit more data just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we can click on that and add temperature and pressure. And what other things did we want? We wanted temperature, pressure, accelerometer, and latitude and longitude. So let's add them in. Z. And then lat long as well. Cool. So there's a fair bit hanging around on there now, but you can see we can move around on here, and we can drop markers and things as well, which is quite cool. And I think we can even drag and drop, but let's follow what we're supposed to be doing. Let's not veer off the path too much. It looks very similar to that, doesn't it? That's similar to what we created, only we've got more data in there. So let's have a look. Let's mirror that. A bit more data. We can increase the time interval. Interval 12 seconds maybe. See what that does. Oh, it kind of smooths the graph off there a little bit. Plotted time series will be all shown below in the well, along with additional settings. Click on the gear icon for one of your selected variables to expand the settings. Okay. Well, click on that. Step interpolation, min-max shadows, show data points, time shifts. You'll notice there's also a time shift setting. Time shift allows you to compare a tag to itself over a previous interval in time, and other tags plotted will be deselected but remain as well. Okay, this is especially useful for data that is highly periodic and seasonal. You need at least 1 hour's worth of data. We haven't got that, have we? I don't think yet. We'll be lucky if we've got 20 minutes. Thus it might not be available for you during the lab. However, the image below shows an example of what this might look like using the overlap chart view. The ability to select custom time shift intervals in addition to pre-selected options is on the product roadmap. Of course it is. So 1 hour and none of the temperature. So that's just going to plot those two things from an hour ago and now on top of each other. I might as well have a go and see what it does. Oh, 30 minutes earlier, look. Might just get that. Oh, this time series contains no data. No, we'll have to wait. Probably, by the looks of it, another 10 minutes. So we can perhaps come back to that. I wonder how you delete that after you've created it. I'm not sure, actually. Show advanced explore options for time series. Don't know what that does. Oh, it's there. You only see it if you hover over it. I was not looking what I was doing. So, in fact, I'll leave it there because we can come back to it in a minute and see what it does. So uncheck every variable except for temperature. Let's do that then. So I'm assuming that it also means this one, so we'll do that. Okay, so and that was humidity as well. So I did it for the wrong thing anyway, didn't I? But oh well. In fact, let's do it. Let's delete that. So delete we want to uncheck everything. So I don't actually have humidity in there anymore. So whatever happened removed that, weirdly. You move these up? No. So, I don't know why that would be, never mind. So what was it? I've forgotten now. Uncheck everything except for temperature. Okay, so that's the top one. So let's uncheck all of these. Right, they're all unchecked. Yeah, well, it's not too dissimilar. And then change the charting options to heat map. Heat map. Ooh, okay. Yeah, that looks like that. Yeah, it's not actually explaining what it's trying to tell us there, but I'm guessing that these different colours are going to correspond to different values in temperature. So it's kind of telling us that on the right hand side, isn't it? So the darker the colour, the colder it was. So that's quite cool. Quite like that. Contextualize and analyze data. In the previous section, we charted raw data without contextualization. In this section, you will add time series model entities to contextualize your IoT data. Time series model has three components: types, hierarchies, and instances. I'm learning here because I've not done much with TSI, to be fair, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to run through this workshop to get this specific part. So forgive me for reading from the page that you could probably also read, but if I don't, then I don't know what I'm doing. So types will allow users to define calculations, aggregates, and categories over raw telemetry data, as well as define a tag for the sensor, temperature sensor, pressure sensor. This is achieved by authoring type variables. Hierarchies allow users to specify the structure of their assets. An organization has buildings, and buildings have rooms, and rooms that contain IoT devices. And that sounds quite similar to what Microsoft are trying to do with the Azure digital twin philosophy, where you're modeling an entire infrastructure and where things fit and how they link together and how that hierarchy works. Yeah, and that instances enrich incoming IoT data with device metadata and instant links to one type definition and multiple hierarchy definitions. In the upper left-hand part of the Explorer, select the Model tab. What's this then? Okay. Next, you'll be able to update the default type and create a categorical variable for a new event, temperature anomaly. And we'll soon look at sending to a TSI using a stream analytics job. We're going to author the variable in anticipation of its value being populated in the future. Okay, planning ahead. After anomaly detection has been created, we'll come back to TSI and visualize the parcel's condition based on the value of the temperature anomaly categorical variable. And don't forget that this workshop is based on tracking assets that are moving around the country, and we'll be using Azure Maps at some point later on to be able to do that. So that's what they're talking about. I guess that parcel is the parcel on the van being delivered. Categorical variables allow you to be able to map a discrete value received in an event payload to a specific category label. This enables you to give greater meaning or context to your streaming data and to ask questions such as, over the past interval, what is the count for the specific category? Yeah, it's just telling us whether or not the temperature could cause damage, and we're going to flag that up with alerts. So click on the types in the default line on the far right hand under actions and select the pencil icon. Oh, types. Yep. On the far right hand, and then is it the default type? Yep. Select the pencil icon. Okay, good. Update the name from default type to asset tracker. Let's do that. Update the description to asset tracker equipped with various sensors. Okay, I mean this is just boilerplate stuff, but click on the variables and select add variable. So we can do that and add variable. And look, can't be empty. Parcel condition. Okay. Kind is categorical. Cool. And then value, select custom and paste the following. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to do for us, but was it this? Oh, custom. There, look. And paste that in. That's fine. Categories set to the below labels and values. Undamaged 0. Should that be integer there? Did it say? Doesn't say. I'm guessing we'll leave it as integer then. Being as we've got zeros and ones coming out, I guess that's talking about this maybe. Maybe? I'm not sure. Categories. Label, okay. Undamaged. Value of 0. And then damaged with the value of 1. I guess we might do something with those shortly. Yeah, so it's obviously come on a little bit since this was written. So these screenshots look like they're slightly out of date. There's even a default category. So default category must be set for categorical kind. Default category unknown. So I'm going to have to guess what that is. Oh, default category unknown. Oh. There then. Fair enough. I'm guessing we're not going to do anything with this advanced operations and stuff in there. So, options rather. So I'm just going to click apply to that. So that looks like we've got parcel condition that's been added into our types there as a variable. Apply and save. Now that we've explicitly defined a variable on the asset tracker type, the auto-discovered properties that we were able to chart in the previous step need to be added as well. And you can expedite this process by uploading a JSON file containing the full description of all the asset. Oh, okay, and there's a JSON file here. And really, I need to right click on that. Save that. Let's put that just in my downloads directory. Okie dokie. Open and save. Yeah, okay. Click on the upload JSON. Choose file and select save JSON. We didn't save that, did we? Publishing. Saved. That's disappeared. This must be the upload JSON. Choose file. Go back to downloads. There's our JSON. And we can upload that. And somebody's now decided that they're going to play the mouth organ in the other room, so you'll be able to hear that. That's alright. A bit of music doesn't hurt anybody. I could probably have music on in the background. I think quite a few streams do that, don't they? Something to take on board. So I've uploaded that, and yeah, so that's the bits there that it's uploaded. So we obviously did one of those already for in types there somewhere, or hierarchies. But anyway, that's uploaded that information for us now, which is quite good. The next step is to add a hierarchy. In the hierarchy section, click Add. Hierarchies. Okay, Alexa, you can just be quiet. So first, So levels, our name is delivery routes, okay. And then levels, name the first level route name. Let's do that. I'm guessing we're going to need another level. Click on the add level and add a sub-level called parcel ID. Yep. And click save. Next, click on the instances and open the edit modal for the existing instance, clicking on the edit pencil in the actions column. Instances. Must be this that it's saying, is it? The actions column. Oh yeah, well, it must be that, surely. So that's instances. Verify the type in the drop down is asset tracker. Yep. Select the instance fields and check delivery routes to associate that with our hierarchy. Delivery routes. Enter the following in the field. So Redmond, Seattle. What a surprise. Parcel ID. Enter a unique parcel, unique identifier for the artwork shipment that your asset tracker is currently tracking. Okay, I'll call it a PJG001. Save to close the dialog. Now I saw some bits in properties that just weren't filled in, so did it ask us to do that? Verify the type of the dropdown. Select instance fields and check delivery routes to associate. Enter the following field values. Route name from hierarchy. Redmond, Seattle. Parcel ID. Yeah, so I did that. What have I got in properties there? Delivery routes. Let's do that then, delivery routes. Did I miss that somewhere? It doesn't actually say to do that, does it? That's the hierarchy though, isn't it? So this is an instance. So I'm guessing we can change this in a bit anyway. So let's just call that delivery instance. Hit save. Publishing. So it looks like all of this is backed by JSON, which makes sense. So they've appeared in there now, our instances, route name and parcel ID. Navigate back to the Analyze tab to find your tracking device in the delivery routes hierarchy. Delivery routes. Which I don't know what it does at the moment. I'm not sure what that's telling us. In the context of this lab, we've done modelling manually in real-life scenarios. It would be likely that you would consider using the TSI APIs program to automatically synchronize the definition of hierarchies with other sources, your ERPs or CRM. Time Series Insights has released a Power BI connector, which is cool. If you've not looked at Power BI, it's pretty cool. So leaders in your organisation might want to have an easy-to-consume snapshot. So, okay, so that's that section done. So the next section is anomaly detection using Stream Analytics, which I guess is then going to feed into what we've already done here. So we can close that window, that tab rather. So very sudden changes in temperature and humidity can be problematic for artwork and paintings. So we're going to implement a solution to enable Contoso Art shipping to detect in real time when the condition of the parcels may be compromised. We'll base our solution on Azure Stream Analytics ASA. So Azure Stream Analytics is for real-time analytics, just like it says there, and event processing. So yeah, it's going to analyze all our data, and then we can do something with that data. And we have an input, a query, and an output. and the query language in the middle of that we'll get to in a bit. And so it can ingest from Event Hubs, IoT Hub, blob storage, and the query based on SQL will allow us to filter and aggregate and sort and stuff like that over a period of time. And so, yeah, I'll be using telemetry coming from the IoT Hub, which makes sense. So extract insights from the real-time IoT data, turn on alerts and turn them into actions, and then store those alerts into TSI alongside the telemetry. So we need to create a new Stream Analytics job in the portal. Stream Analytics jobs. So let's add a new one of those. I'm going to call this PJG IoT Workshop SA. Sponsorship Workshop, North Europe again. We're going to be hosting it in the cloud. You can do this Stream Analytics job on an edge device. We mentioned those earlier. Streaming units 1 to 192. I'm guessing we're going to be leaving that as 1. Yep, cloud. Okay, blah blah. That's all good. So we can create that and let that finish. Deployment succeeded. That was remarkably fast, wasn't it? I'm going to pin that too. I mean, some of these things you can pin automatically, and some of them you can't from here. We can pin it from there anyway. So let's go to our resource. So we can see here we have the inputs, functions, query, and outputs. So it's going to ask us to select the IoT Hub as the input here, I'm guessing, and then we'll write a query that's going to do something, and then that will go a likely output into our TSI. Create an Event Hub. Typically the output of a Azure Stream Analytics job is something you need to feed into another system's data stores, blah blah blah. Contoso wants to detect sudden spikes and events. Therefore, we use the Event Hub as the output for the ASA job and publish events having virtually the same form as telemetry events coming from the sensors onto the IoT Hub, into the IoT Hub, and that one can subscribe to the built-in Event Hub compatible endpoint. So we need to create a new Event Hub namespace in the standard tier as well as an actual Event Hub. So let's do that. So we want an Event Hub. So let's go to that. Let's add a new Event Hub. So we create a namespace and then you put an Event Hub within that. So subscription, same, resource group, workshop, namespace. This has to be unique because we're going to get a URL for that. So PJG IoT Workshop EH for Event Hub. Let's do EH namespace. Let's just do EH. That'll be enough, I think. And then North Europe again. It would be nice if this, I've selected that resource group. It'd be nice if that defaulted to the same location. I know there might be reasons why I might not want to do that, but for me, that would just make sense. I'm going to choose standard here. There is actually a basic one here, but I'm not quite sure what the limitations are difference-wise. I think it said standard in the, pricing tier standard. So we'll create an Event Hub after we've created this namespace. Features, what have we got? Availability zones and auto-inflate, don't need to know about that. Tags, we don't need anything to do with that. So, workshop, IoT Workshop Event Hub in our sponsorship, North Europe, standard. Done. Let's create that. And again, we wait. Something's happening. It's still happening. Obviously, if you're watching back the recording of the stream, then you can just go ahead and fast forward this bit. I've got no idea how long they last on Twitch either, actually. I'm betting it's not forever, but still. I probably could have recorded this locally as well. Could have, should have. And we are complete. So I open that one as well, and then go to resource. And so this is telling us about the namespace. It's not actually our event hub. We have an option down here for event hubs, which is where we need to go and create an event hub in our namespace. So let's create a new event hub, and we'll call that PJG IoT Workshop event hub. I'm not sure about these actually. Let's just have a quick look at these instructions. Scroll past everything that we've done already. Create. Oh, okay, so we just left it. They've got partition counters 2 there though, so we'll do that too, just so that we've got it right. And create. As far as I remember, this is quite quick to create the actual event hub. There we are. So there's our event hub. Typically, blah blah blah. Okay, so we've done that. So we're creating an event hub, and now we need to select the input and the output for the stream job. So the job we're going to write will process the real-time telemetry coming in from the IoT hub and output results onto the event hub. So let's configure the IoT hub input. So we'll go to the event hub. I'm assuming. Navigate to the stream analytics job, yeah, of course. Stream analytics job. To the resource. Oh, and so I'd actually pinned the results there, but oh well, you know, it doesn't matter. So inputs. And I want to add a stream input, and IoT hub is where we're going to grab that from. Input alias. Have you given us any clues for that? Enter a name to identify the job's input. Oh, okay. Let's call that IoT hub input. IoT hub input. Provide the IoT hub settings manually or select it. Oh, we're going to select that obviously. Endpoint is messaging, shared access policy. Yeah, I would have preferred to have another one of these, and I think we may need one. So let's see what it says. Fill out the IoT hub with the following. What's the name of the IoT hub? Okay, well they've left all of that as default. Okay. So what was that? So subscription IoT hub, select that. Consumer group, ASA consumer group. This needs to be a different consumer group than the one used. Check out the IoT. Okay. So that's a good job we checked that. So this isn't going to work for that. So we need a new consumer group. So we need to go back to our dashboard. So like the time series insights requires its own consumer group so that it's got a lock on those messages. We need the same thing for the streaming analytics job there. So let's go to the hub. And then consumer groups is hiding somewhere. Where's consumer groups? Brain fade. Built-in endpoints, that's where it is. And then there, see here we have consumer groups, and this is where we set them up. We did that TSI consumer group over in TSI. It nicely allowed us to do that. It looks like streaming analytics doesn't give us that facility. So I'm going to do a SA consumer group. Add that. Doink. And that's added. So back over here, I can just switch to a different subscription. And back again. Make sure we get the right hub. I mean, I'm going to use the TSI's access policy. And then an SA consumer group. Partition key, not sure about any of that, so we could probably just leave that as it is. The children and wife have decided to go and explore the playroom above my head now, so you might hear the odd bang from that as well. My house is alive with children, and actually there's no music, not anymore. There was earlier. So that looks okay, so I can click save on that. And we should get that appearing here as an input. There, so there's an input. So that's coming from our IoT hub into the Stream Analytics job. And so now the event hub output. Navigate to the Stream Analytics job we created earlier. Well, isn't that where we are? Yeah. And then select outputs and add event hub. Here. Outputs. Add event hub. Output alias. Let's do event hub output. Ooh, output. Event hub namespace, it's got that. Use an existing event hub, so we could have just added the event hub itself in this dialog. Event hub policy name create new. I'm guessing that's what we're going to want to do. Yeah. So output alias, name, subscription, event hub namespace. Yeah, okay. So leave everything else exactly as it was. Don't look particularly interesting, those options to me. So let's save that. And that's created that as an output. I've been streaming now for 1 hour and 13 minutes. I'm really hoping the stream's worked and the audio is okay and things like that. But I guess that's the whole point of trying this for the first time. Probably should have just done a short stream first, but still, I'm learning as I'm doing this, so I don't mind. So now we need to create a query to detect abnormal temperatures. Azure Stream Analytics offers built-in machine learning based on anomaly detection. So it's interested in sudden changes in temperature. And we're going to use the built-in anomaly detection spike and dip function to analyze potential spikes or dips in 5-minute sliding windows. Queries in Azure Stream Analytics can be expressed in a SQL-like query language, that's right. So now navigate to the query page of the job and update as follows. So I need to copy this. Too many windows open. Query. And so in here, it's very much like a SQL interface here where we can test the query based on data. And see, we've already got some data here, and that's come from this query. It's just ran that, and this is the data that it's pulling in from our device. But we're going to replace this with that. What's it say? Navigate to the query page and update the query as follows. Once this job will start running, it will emit a new event to Event Hub for each IoT message containing a temperature. This event will contain 4 fields: the ID, the time, temperature anomaly, 0 or 1, indicating whether or not there's an anomaly or not, and then a score float between 0 and 1. So the lower the score, the more confident the anomaly detection is that it's a real anomaly. Okay. So return to the job overview page and select Start. I don't need to click save here. I'm pretty sure I need to press save on that. Save the settings. Let's press overview and then start. And assuming that it's correct, it should just work. that's looking okay. It's doing something. Oh, failed to start stream. That's validation. The input using query was not defined. More noisy singing in the background you'll be able to hear. So it's in query anyway. So we have an input here and an output. We actually need to tell it what they are. So IoT hub input and event hub output. I'm pretty sure that's what it was complaining about, isn't it? Do we get that up here? The input using the query was not defined. Okay. So it's not actually giving us much help though, is it, to set that up? Click on that. Let's just test that. No data coming from the input to input. IoT hub input. That's there. Let's sample the data. Let's have a look. It's sampling. I've got no idea how long that's going to run for. Oh, there we are. So what happens? Do I click on that? It's going to give us the sample data. Oh, you can download it. Just some JSON. Is that going to open in VS Code for me? It is. Good. Well, that looks like there's data there to me. So I think it's in my query. I can't quite remember what I need to do to fix that. Let's go back to the query. I think it's this, isn't it? Look, I think that needs to be IoT hub input. Oops. There. See, no, that's disappeared. So there's an output here now too. Oh, brain fade. So that should be event hub output. There, and that's disappeared. Now save that. So feedback there, Benjamin, I think. And then back to overview. So that's complaining that the job failed previously, but I should be able to start that job now. So that looks like that's doing something a bit better this time. It failed pretty fast before. So while that's starting, well, in fact, it's already started because look, it's telling us there. You can see that updated. Once the job starts running, it will emit a new event for Event Hub for each IoT message with those bits in there. So start the job. Check the job's running. Visual Studio Code has some great extensions. Yeah, it does, in fact, and you saw Visual Studio Code there a second ago. And we have Event Hub Explorer, in fact, I'm not sure if I've got the Event Hub Explorer installed. So let's add it. Event Hub Explorer. Some information about it there, so let's install it. It's going to be similar to the IoT Hub workbench that I've got installed, I guess. IoT Hub sits on top of Event Hub, so two things are quite similar. Quite a big extension. Come on then. Hit Control-Shift-P and run Event Hub, select Event Hub when it's finished installing. Reload required, of course there is, so let's do that. So, I wanted Control-Shift-P and Event Hub, select Event Hub. Nope. Let's try that again. Oh, there we are. It is doing it. That's good, isn't it? It's in one of those 4 sponsorships. So let's try the first one. I guess not then. Not that first one. Hopefully it won't flick them around every time either. Oh, and now it's correctly down. There we are. So IoT Workshop. Event Hub. Event Hub. What do we get? We get to 8. Hello. Where are you, Event Hub? Okay. The next step is we need to start monitoring Event Hub messages. Okay, well, that's fine. That makes sense. Start monitoring Event Hub messages. Let's drag this up and see what we're doing. Right, so well, it looks like there's nothing on the Event Hub at the moment, which we may or may not be expecting. You should see the messages emitted by your ASA job in the VS Code output. We aren't. So have we done something wrong somewhere? Or interesting. So what's going on there? Why aren't we seeing anything? It is actually running. Oh, what's this? Event Hub output. Access to the Event Hub has been denied. The token may have an invalid signature. Oh, what? Alright. Let's stop the job. Yes, I'm pretty sure I want to do that. Stopping. I've run out of water. That's a terrible disaster. It's not too far away from 5 o'clock on a Friday anyway. Beer o'clock. You'd think there was elephants running around above me. The job has stopped, so that's good. So let's go back to outputs. Let's double check what we got here. Let's test this and see what it says. So what's it complaining about then? It should be happy with that. The test passed. Let's try that again. Let's start it. Come on. Obviously need to see if this event hub output actually works this time. Otherwise I need to go and have a check and see what we're doing wrong. Started the job successfully. Running. I don't see any triangles. Likewise, I also don't see any messages though. And we have that again. What is it saying? What? Oh. I wonder if for some reason that policy wasn't right or something along those lines. Not actually telling us what's wrong with it though, is it? I can't remember where I found that before. There we are. Access to the event hub has been denied. The token may have an invalid signature. I'm betting it's that event hub policy name. So let's stop it again. More waiting. Yes, I'm sure. While that's stopping, I'm just going to quickly get a drink. I'm back. Look at that for timing. It's just stopped too. As you saw, I couldn't do any editing while the stream job was running. So I have to stop it. Okay. Let's do this. It seemed to have defaulted to manual there, didn't it? So let's put policies there. Let's just create a new policy. Create a new one. Event hub. Namespace is correct. I'm not sure what that is going to give us actually. And save. doing a test for us automatically. Connection succeeded. So, okay, you think it's working? Let's see, shall we? Let's try starting the job again. Yes, please. It's starting. Crossing fingers. More children noises upstairs. I can only apologise, but, you know, you'll get used to it. Oh, error. Entity was updated. Something was happening in there, though. It's running. I don't yet see any triangles. But I still don't see any messages in here. But I wonder if maybe I need to stop monitoring and then start monitoring again to get this to work now. So let's do that. Stop monitoring that. Oh, okay, well. Oh, that's. What did I do? What I did? No. Event hub. Oh, yeah. Stop monitoring event hub messages. And that. Stop monitoring event hub. Right, let's clear that. And do that again. Event hub start monitoring. I don't see messages, but I don't see a triangle. So well, now what's wrong then? Oh, and now we have a triangle again. Access to the event hub has been denied. What is the problem with that? Let's have a look at this. Is it the shared access policy that it's creating there? No. What is it that's using? Yes, I want to stop. This is fun, isn't it? Wonders of live coding. Not that I'm doing very much in the way of coding. Following along. Stopped. I am going to delete this entirely and do it again. And let's just make sure that we're doing this. Look, so select outputs, add event hub, fill out the event hub with the following. So enter a name to identify the job's output, the subscription, the event hub namespace we created earlier, leave all the other options default. Oh, so it's actually in the event hub then. I guess in fact, let's have a look at that while we're there. Where's my event hub? Ugh. Let's just edit this. Can I put my whole resource group on here? I think I can, can't I? So let's go to IT workshop actually. Why didn't it appear? Let's pin that to my dashboard. There. Event hub. Namespace. Is it part of this or is it part of the event hub? Shared access policies. Yeah, so there's the policies. Look, claims listen. Listen doesn't sound quite right to me though. Listen's not going to give you the facility to be able to put stuff on there. It needs to be able to send. So surely that's a bug in the portal there, isn't it? So that's no good. So we created that second one. So let's delete the first one entirely. And then do send. I'm going to do manage as well because I'm not entirely sure what it's doing at this moment in time. I think that needs to be able to send as well as, well, it does because we're sending as an output from the SA job. Have you done? Why have you not just disappeared? Oh, there we go. I was doing it. So that's that. So let's add that. Well, the good thing is we'll be able to just choose that policy again. So let's do this as oh, we did event hub output, didn't we? I think. Let's make it like that. Select the event hub namespace, use an existing event hub, use an existing policy, and then save that. Let that add. That's finished adding there. And let's let it know that it's finishing because I can't be bothered not knowing if that's worked. That's successfully done that. Go back to overview. And you know, I bet now that we've removed that output, it might have affected our query actually. So let's have a look at the query. Event hub output. Event hub output. Is that what I called it? Event hub output. Event hub output. Okay, that should be okay. Let's start that. Right, come on then. Let's stop this. Clear and start again. Starting. Now there's tears upstairs. That's kind of normal. Two young girls fighting with each other. Starting still. I'll deserve a beer when this works. running. Ah, look! We have our messages, and so that was the problem. Yeah, I guess a bug in the portal really there. So that's no good, but yeah, we have our messages being received onto the event hub with a temperature anomaly and how accurate it thinks it is. So it's 50-50, I think, is what it's saying at the moment. It's not entirely sure if something's an anomaly or not. So, all right, I'm happy with that. So let's go back. We've done that part, and we've got these parts, and visualize the anomalies in time series insights. So in the Azure portal, navigate to your TSI instance and click on event sources. Now, is that in here, or is that? I think this is in here somewhere, isn't it? So I'm going to leave that as it is and go back to my dashboard and find my TSI there. And maybe it's not that. Event sources, click add. Oh, it's there, look. Blind. Add. Complete all the necessary fields, selecting the event hub you configured as the output for the SA job. You can select the default consumer group and leave the timestamp property as it is. Put the source name. Let's do PJG. Let's do it right. PJG IoT workshop SA source. Event hub. Use event hubs. Okay, that's fine. Sponsorship. Event hub, route managed. That's fine, I guess. Default is okay. Did it say route managed? Yeah, okay. Consumer group default. Consumer group should be used exclusively for this event source. Okay, well, it is, so that's fine. Timestamp property name. What did it say for that? Leave the timestamp property name blank. Okay. Create them. We've done that. In general, we see three categories of responses in compute processing for anomaly detection, visualization, alerting, and automation. Your solution might be connected to one or more external systems, and depending on your business needs, you might utilize a mixture of these responses. After receiving an alert, you, as a manager at Contoso, may open the TSI Explorer to gather more information. Either remove or deselect all data streams except for temperature, lat long, and condition. Okay. I'm guessing we need to be back to graph sort now as well, line chart. Temperature, lat long, but we haven't added condition, have we? Show condition. So temperature, lat long, and condition. Will it? Does it appear as a coloured bar? No, it doesn't. Because this contains no data. It is possible we need to refresh our screen. I think it's telling us down here that it will be like that though, so I'm not sure why that's not coming up. I'm guessing I need to actually do something, so I need to change the temperature to make an anomaly for something to actually happen. I think I need to start. Oh, yeah, Well, that doesn't help, does it? I should have stopped that. I think it did tell me to stop monitoring. I'm not sure what difference that's going to make. Ooh, it's supposed to look like that. Ah, look, there. So that was the problem then, is because I was consuming it elsewhere. It did say in those instructions that it must be the only consumer. So here we have a bar. Delivery instance is condition okay, which is what we were seeing in the logs in the output in VS Code, isn't it? So what I need to do now is try warming up my temperature. I've got quite cold hands, so I'm not quite sure how warm I'm going to be able to get that. I'll warm my hands up. Let's see. So the temperature, I think, is that top line, isn't it? And it's reading 25.4 at the moment. So let's see what I can get that to go up to. If I put my finger on there. Oh, my semi-transparent ghost-like finger due to the loading events. Oh, okay. Something happened. Not yet. Hello? Don't see anything remarkable happening temperature-wise. Oh, no, maybe? Don't know. Maybe my finger is cooler. I think it is actually. I think that temperature's dropping now. Look on the right-hand side, you can see. Yeah, amazingly, I've made it cooler. Yeah, okay. Not massively cooler, but I'm about the same temperature as that. I suppose that's about right. So what I can do is instead, let me try doing this. Blow on it. Oh, there we are. Oh, look, see, that's what the green was. So we did actually get that in there, interestingly. So we got that not okay. I'm not quite sure about the colouring. Personally, I think I would prefer that to be different colours. And I guess we could probably do that in here somewhere, maybe, or something. Did we do that? I'm not quite sure. I can't remember how we do that in the model. Condition. Colour. Okay, green. not okay, red. Save that. Wonder, does it update the model automatically when we view it though? No, funnily enough. There might be to refresh it, I suppose. No, I'm not sure where that comes from. If it doesn't come from where I thought it came from. There's no options in there. Okay, well, we get the idea though, so we can see that that's actually read the results of that Event Hub output from the Stream Analytics job, and it's plotted that alongside you can see where the temperature's gone up and the fact that during that time there's an anomaly. Actually, you can see where it went down as an anomaly. So that was our stable temperature, and then the temperature dipped when I put my cold finger on it, and then when I breathed on it. So that seemed to work okay. Going further, look, I mean, it's the same on the example graph. It's in green as well, so just bad colouring. Not sure why that is. So let's close that, because the next thing we need to do is maps. Where are my parcels? So we're going to be able to use that lat long data to be able to plot our asset tracking location data onto a map. So we need to create an Azure Maps account. In fact, there's a few things we're going to do as part of this. But we'll create the Azure Maps account first and get a subscription key. So let's close that. So we've got just one of these. Maps. Create an Azure Map account. Add. So aside from that weird bug with the Event Hub output from the Stream Analytics job, it's actually gone relatively smoothly. I think there's a couple of bits in the docs there, and a couple of bits in the workshop that maybe might need a bit of improving, but for the most part, it's pretty good. So let's have a PJG IoT workshop maps standard. What does it say to choose? We should be fine with the S0, so I'm going to go for S0. And I'm going to confirm that I agree to whatever those terms and conditions are that I've not looked at. Deployment in progress. Go to resource. I'll pin that one too. Why can't I pin it? Huh? Disappeared. You can do it from there. Does it actually appear, is it, on there? Yeah, Maps, Azure Maps account. I mean, why? Where is it? It's a bit silly. So done that. And get a subscription key for your account. I'm guessing it's probably that information that's hidden nicely for me there. But we'll see. Okay. If you haven't already cloned the current Git repository, I've got a Git repository to clone. Okay. let's make a directory in here. Workshop. Oh, it's already there. Whoops. Clone that. Open the Windows host file. Oh, okay. I've got a program for that actually. Okay, yeah, and then we want to add. I've done this before. Look, insights-local time series .azure.com. So this is when I was following along with Benjamin while he was doing it as part of build. So I did actually get that far. So that's okay. So we can leave that as it is. That's already ticked. So we need to go to the web app folder. Do an npm install. It's saying that we need to open it as an administrator, and I didn't do that. So let's see if it works as well. I might need to close this window to do the npm start, to be fair. I think the install will probably work, but the start might not. Sorry, it finished. Let's do. So let's see what this does. I've just had a little message that says I need to trust a certificate. Connection is not private. Let's proceed anyway. Maps example. So that all looks like that's running. No such file or directory. Make cert. Okay, that's probably what it was saying there a minute ago. It was creating me a local certificate for that baby. Not signed in. So, funnily enough, it's not. Indeed, it isn't. So, complete the JavaScript code. In this step, you're going to go through the key elements of the JavaScript client and the code needed to display an interactive time series chart linked to a map. Okay, that's cool. There are several to-dos throughout the script.js file. So, what we can do is I can open this in VS Code. And I'm guessing we'll need to go to step 4, web app. Script.js. Several to-dos, eh? To-do. There are indeed several to-dos. Benjamin was not lying. So, replace global variables. Towards the beginning of the script, update the values of the following constants to reflect your environment. TSI FQDN. You can find this in the overview of your time series insights resource panel. Okay, let's just get the dashboard open in another tab. Yeah, it never actually gave me my time series insights, so I don't think, did it? That's just a deployment, so I don't see the point of that. So let's remove that on this. Why is it? What's going on with that? It's just because I'm using Chrome and it doesn't like me using Chrome, or what? Why can't I add that to my? Why can't I pin that to my dashboard? Just disappears. Frustrating. Anyway, this is my data access FQDN that I can copy here. So let's go back here and paste that in here. I'm guessing I don't need the angle brackets. Just this. Like that. Need my Azure Maps subscription key, which is, I guess, this. What does it say? The Azure Maps, get your key in the authentication section of your Azure. Ah, okay. I see. Good job, I checked. Authentication. Shared key, I guess it's that. Primary key there. Not obvious, is it? This will be gone soon, so go away, hit it if you like, but it's going to be gone shortly. Time series ID. The ID of the device and hence associated time series you want to display on this page. Time series ID. What is that? Is that this? Oh, it's this. Time series ID property. I'm guessing, anyway. Maybe. I don't know, we'll find out in a minute, I guess. I can't imagine what else it is. Oh, we'll see. Initialize the maps component. First, we need to create a map instance and bind it to the my map div of the HTML page. When loading the map, you'll set the style to grey. Replace the following section with that. Initialize the map component. That's that. Oh, look, two of them. Subscription key, Azure Maps, subscription key, that's what's up there, then that's fine. Following the creation of the map, you will subscribe to its ready event, that's understandable, and implement the rest of your code. So the next step, creating a pop-up control to show details, a data point, creating and replace the following section, map events add. Oh, a lot of code. Ah. Map events add. So you've got the comment, yeah, it does. With this, have it neat, yeah? Tab! Oh, kidding me. Never mind. I won't. Done that. In the previous step, you may have noticed that mouse move and mouse out events are called in the highlight map, unhighlight map function. Let's create them. So when a timestamp is highlighted, all shapes on the map except those with the specified timestamp will become semi-transparent. That sounds nice. Additionally, a pop-up will appear over the shape on the map. Oh, okay. So the add functions stuff. Highlight map. So all of that. That's good. I'm not sure. It must be something in the VS Code bits for this particular project, and it's looking for this expand abbreviation when I press tab for some reason, which is I can't do that, so it doesn't matter. Right, OCD kicking in. So I've done that. Next, we'll define the expressions in the time series insight chart that displays the temperature and humidity information. Replace the following section with that. Copying and pasting code in a live stream. It's okay. Line chart, position, those two. Yep. Create a chart. Next data will be requested from time series insights. The line chart will be created and temperature, humidity rendered on the chart will be extracted and used to create data points on the map. Mouse over and mouse out events will be added to the chart. Okay. Query the TSI server. That was a lot of copying and pasting, and I kind of just trusted what I was reading, so I've got no idea if I've got syntax problems in that code because I've not written it. Open the browser and navigate to map sample. Oh, I really want to. Let's do that again. User login is required. Really? I don't see a great deal happening. 12 errors, no surprise. I think if I did this. No, no then. it is possible that this ID of the device, I think maybe that is right. I think that's wrong, personally. But it's the time series ID. It's associated time series. Maybe it is that, but why is it not working then? Although the fact that we had a heap of errors down here telling me that stuff's blocked. I wonder if stuff been updated and it's using old versions of new npm packages, and it just doesn't like it. Not entirely sure. I didn't get this to work when I tried it before either, to be fair. So that's probably okay. Because that's come straight from our TSI FQDN now. I don't know enough about somebody else's code. It appears to be that I think it's complaining about it, doesn't it? It's the FQDN. But it's got a 404. Let's have a look at the code about see where that's coming from. 28. I mean, that'll be coming from I don't think we're building that. No. Oh, hold on. Oh, that's the completed one. All right. So, tell you what I'll do. Let's just make sure that it's not something I've copy and pasted wrong, which is possible. Let's copy that. And then I'll copy all of this into here. And then I will take this and replace it with my original. And then I'll stop code and start it again. Let's just see. I'm not holding out much hopes. I don't think it's that's the problem. I have a feeling it could be that, but I mean, the map is working, so I'm guessing that it's getting access to maps okay through that. So this I think is fine. This I'm not entirely sure of. So I wonder, do we need to update some NuGet packages? Oh, npm packages, NuGet packages. Package.json. So using 2.0.15 of that, but it's only got Azure Maps in there. I don't think it's Azure Maps it's struggling with. I think it's a time series insight. So where's that query coming from? They mentioned a 2018 in there. Kind of want Benjamin Cabè sat next to you when this isn't working to be able to ask him. So right, so where's this coming from? Where are we using that? Hmm. So I would have thought there'd be a node package for this. Where's that coming from? Where's that being pulled in from then? It's not from packages. Weird. Is it being defined in this? I mean, this auth.js. I don't see where it's getting preview and stuff from though. I don't know. Kind of need some help. I might need to stop there and drop Benjamin Cabè a message and ask him what I'm doing wrong at that point. It's not particularly obvious what I've done wrong. Your time series ID. So when we created this, let me go back to start. We do it in here, time series, I think, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, well, that's that look. IoT Hub Connection Device ID. So that must be right. Certificates, okay. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we try this, register your own application. I'm guessing I might need code changes to make that work. Oh well, I'm going to leave the stream there. Broken, but at least we learned a bit. We managed to get TSI all up and running. We just didn't manage to get the map side running, which is a pity. But I will see if I can get a hold of Benjamin Cabè and ask him the question. But if you've watched this, then thank you very much for watching. And I hope you learned a little bit. So I've been Pete Gallagher, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.